So this is Brian with Terabeza.com, and I'm sitting here with Zain Mohammed. His website is zainhalalreviews.blogspot.com. Zain, we're very happy to have you with us. We've been looking forward to this for a long time and trying to get it going. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Um, so, with your site, the Halal Reviewer, what are you focused on doing? It's kind of obvious from the name, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more.
Well, what I do is I review halal restaurants mainly in Houston, but also outside whenever I travel. I do everything. I go to eat anything that has halal meat. I just go there. I go try out the food, then I write up about it.
So tell me a little bit about your background. I know you are from overseas and you've lived different places. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, I was born in Chicago. My parents are from India. Then for 12 years, I lived in Saudi Arabia, and over there, I had a thing for the local food. And my mom would also make different variety of food. Like one day there would be like biryani, then the next day there would be like pasta, then Chinese food, and then when we used to go out and eat in Saudi, a lot of times we were the only non-Saudis at a restaurant. So when used to get stuff like shawarma, cheese bread, mutabak, which is like a Arab version of paratha, Bukhari rice, roasted chicken, the local stuff there. We used to go out a lot, and that's how I got my love for food. And when I first moved here to Houston 11 years ago, there was nothing. I used to live in Sugarland, and we used to drive to Hillcroft just to get some halal shawarmas. And then when I moved to Cyprus, there was nothing as well. But like in the past 5 6 years, the halal food scene has grown a lot. Now it's spread out all over Harris County and Fort Bend County mainly. And there's a huge diversity of halal food in Houston. Like for example, a popular Greek place is Nico Nico's. We have a halal Greek version of Nico Nico's called Your Bakery in Spring, and that is one of my top spots to eat in town.
So your family is from India. What part of India are they from?
They're from Hyderabad.
So from what I know of Hyderabad, they're very famous for their biryani. What makes them so famous for their biryani?
The taste. It just tastes so good. And a lot of people think that biryani is the authentic biryani and the best tasting as well. And not only Hyderabad is not only known for the biryani. They have like mirchi kasam, which is like a popular side dish. They're known for nahari. Like I know there is a Pakistani and Indian nahari. They're different. Pakistani nahari is mainly beef chunks, while the nahari in Hyderabad is mainly goat tongue, goat feet, and we also have our mithai or sweets. And a popular one is called double ka mitha, and it's often served at weddings. So Hyderabad is very well known for all sorts of, popular Indian food.
So let's bring this back to Houston then. When you go for biryani in Houston, what's your favorite place to go?
I went to Aga's, I think last week. It was really good, and I think that was the best biryani I've had outside home so far in Houston.
I have talked with 4 Indians this week who have all referenced Aga's in conversation for one reason or another. So that's really interesting. Why do you like Aga's? Because that's actually Pakistani.
The food tastes really good. I grew up eating excellent Indian Pakistani food in Saudi. Every Friday, most Fridays after Friday prayer, my dad used to get like the best biryani for like $5 in Saudi, and we used to get it for not only my family, but for friends, the security personnel, and the maintenance workers. And at that price over there, the biryani was amazing. When I came here, for the most part, I was very disappointed in the quality of the biryani. But when I went to Aga's, the biryani was the best I've had since moving here, and it took 11 years. Which says a lot about, a lot of the other places that serve biryani.
So for the sake of our listeners that might not have much background in the Middle East or the Muslim world, can you kind of define for us what is halal food?
Halal basically means permissible. The slaughtering process is like kosher, but it's slightly different because what happens is the person who slaughters, he recites a prayer and then partially cuts the animal's head open, and then what happens is that the blood is drained out, and this way it would prevent disease from spreading. Then after all the blood is drained out, the butchering process begins. And the common misconception is that halal excuse me, halal is a type of food, like the New York style food that you see halal guys. That is just completely false. And halal basically can be anything. It can be, Philly cheesesteak, burgers, steaks, even Bosnian food where we are at right now. Halal can be anything as long as it's processed right and as long as, the sources are correct. And, if it's from a legitimate, trusted, certified source. And, a lot of people now are becoming more aware of what halal is, even not, especially non-Muslims. And it's a big thing because it never used to be like this before. A lot of non-Muslims didn't know what halal is, but now that the halal food industry is becoming more globalized, more people are knowing what halal is. And I think it is very good because of the whole Islamophobia thing that's going on in the United States. There is a grassroots effort that's been done by people like Pamela Geller to ban halal in the United States. And it's actually been proven that halal is more humane than the normal way of slaughtering, which is stunning before slaughter.
Are there different grades or levels of halal food?
Well, I would say beliefs. I would say that there are some people believe differently about halal. Some people believe that as long as it's slaughtered by a Christian and Jew, it's okay. But from what I know, the majority, they still believe that this is the right way. Has to say a prayer. Has to be a Muslim. Has to say a prayer. Blood is drained out. I think for the most part, majority of Muslims would like it and it shows in the growth of the halal food scene in Houston. If that had been the case, there would not be any halal food restaurants. Everyone would be like, it's slaughtered by Christians. We can eat it. We don't need to, accommodate for like Muslim eaters. Like for example, there's this place called Stanton's. They started serving halal 4 years ago, and they've been a hit for Muslims ever since. If they had that belief, that same belief as that, because it's slaughtered by a Christian, it's okay, it wouldn't be that popular, and they would not cook it separately from the bacon. And for us Muslims, we cannot eat anything that's cooked in the same place as any non-halal meat, including pork. So having the differences in belief and following the majority is really important in having halal food in Houston. In fact, someone I met told me that in California, the halal food scene is very null, very little, because so many of the Muslims believe that if it's slaughtered by a Christian, then it's okay.
Interesting. So, kind of the final question before our food comes out. What's been your most interesting observation about the halal food scene in Houston over the years?
I say one good and one bad. The good thing is that more people are becoming aware. A lot more halal places are getting businesses because a lot of people who follow my Instagram and my blog, they go check it out and they write up about it too. Sometimes I ask them how is it, and they respond, oh, it's good. Sometimes it's, oh, I didn't like it, etc. But more people are becoming aware, and for whenever anyone comes from outside Houston, they can refer to my blog and my Instagram to see what are some good halal spots. But one bad thing is it exposes some biases people have. Like for example, a lot of Indians, Pakistanis, they have this thing for spicy food because they grew up on spicy food. But when they come to like an Arab or Turkish place or any place that isn't spicy, they complain about how spicy it is. But it just gives bad rep to the business for unfairly because these foods are not supposed to be spicy. And another thing I noticed is, well done. A lot of them also like well done. And well done is when you order well done, you basically ordering a dry and rubber steak, right? And like me, I may be Indian, but I love medium rare. I eat medium rare steak any day. And finally, an interesting observation is that some people, they like to complain about the prices at halal places, even though number one, it is more expensive for halal process, and number two, a lot of the halal places, they put their prices in the same category as like a regular place. Like we once had a halal Texas barbecue food truck, and it only lasted for a year, and the number one complaint of it was the price. But when I saw the prices and compared them to Killen's and Pearland, the difference was only 75 cents. And a lot of those people were willing to go and pay that much at Killen's, even though they don't cook the pork separately. But that barbecue place, they wanted to have exactly like that, but with no pork, because we cannot eat or sell pork. And for them to complain about the price of the halal place, it really made me sad, because I know for a fact that the Texas barbecue is the most desired of halal food options in town. Like, and I went around and asked people. We had a halal food festival. I asked people what their top one was, and they said the halal barbecue stall it was number one. So if you want to have what we want, we have to we have to make a compromise. Like, you have to accept that, it is going to be expensive, that it is going to be slightly expensive, or it's going to be similarly priced. So we should not have this different standards for Muslim and non-Muslim places.
From conversations I've had with the owners of the Uyghur Bistro, I think another one of the things that drives up the price of halal food is that a lot of the places are not serving alcohol.
Yeah.
And so a lot of restaurants are surviving on the income that they're making from their alcohol sales, which seems for some reason to surprise a lot of the other food bloggers in Houston. I'm not really sure why. Anyway, well, our food's about to come, and I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Zain, and we're really glad to have you. And so I can't wait to try the food. Thanks.